Hola amigos, welcome to Next Level Consciousness with Linnea Stella. I am over the moon excited because we have reached the final day of the 6-day manifestation training. So if you haven't watched the first 5 videos, you can do so after this one if you want to. And the idea with this is really that I have broken down my process for manifesting anything and looked at each step where we usually get stuck. So if your manifestations aren't working, know that 1, you are always manifesting, so you know how to manifest. It's just something very innate for you. And 2, you are probably being blocked in one or several of these steps, maybe in today's step, which is receiving. So I encourage you to go back and look at those videos and see, okay, which step do I feel like I am stuck around? And really to do the exercises, because they are very simple exercises, but when you do them, that's when the magic happens. And remember that even if manifesting hasn't worked for you in the past, you have never been at such a high level of consciousness as you are right now, because you are constantly evolving. So, receiving. Many people are blocked around receiving. And I like to look at things both from an energetic, spiritual perspective and the mind perspective. And I'm going to give you some exercises at the end that are more centered around the mind. But just to explain the concept of receiving from an energetic perspective. So we can talk about masculine and feminine energies. Regardless of gender, we all have both of these inside of us. But as a society, we have been programmed to constantly be in the masculine energy. That's what's seen as status. And the masculine energy is an energy of giving, of doing, performing, achieving, while the feminine is the energy of receiving. And in order for you to really manifest at your maximal capacity, you need a balance between the two. Because remember, we talked about, for example, inspired action, which requires you to be in the little more masculine energy of doing something, of putting yourself out there, maybe to give something, maybe post a video on your YouTube channel. But then you also need to be able to switch into this feminine energy of receiving. And I think it's by design that we have been programmed not to be in the energy of receiving, because that's disempowering. We will not be at our maximum manifesting capacity. So it's really a little rebellion for you to step back into your capacity to receive, because that's how you achieve your maximal power in this lifetime, and you deserve it. I think another aspect to why we may have a problem receiving is that we are in a society where we use money for transactions. So we are very used to this process of when I give something, I receive something. Or if I receive something, I need to give something in return. And I'm not saying that money is bad, but just that we are very conditioned into this giving and receiving. It needs to happen at the same time. And that's why many people also can feel uncomfortable receiving, for example, let's say that someone pays for your lunch. Then you're like, oh, but they put out money for me. They need to get something in return. But I encourage you to see the situation from a broader perspective. They received the gift of your company, of your energy. And that is something very beautiful. It's not always something material that you have to give in return. And that can help you to just be more comfortable receiving. So the way that you can know that you are uncomfortable receiving is if you are deflecting compliments. So for example, if someone says, oh, I love your shirt, and you're like, oh, it's nothing, it's like an old one, and you feel very uncomfortable, you feel like you don't deserve to receive. It can also be if someone, as I mentioned, pays lunch for you, or if they do you a favor without you asking, maybe also if they come over with soup when you are sick, and you're like, no, I don't need any support, like, why did you do that? It's way too much. And when you do that, you are actually depriving others from the joy of giving. Because imagine a situation where you have found the perfect gift for someone. Wouldn't you want them to be happy and to express joy and see their authentic, genuine joy of receiving? probably it would be a more enjoyable experience for you than if they open it and they were completely neutral. And also, imagine if a friend comes to you and they confess and they open up about something vulnerable and say, hey, I sometimes have anxiety and it would really help me to talk to you because I really trust you and I feel good around you and comfortable around you. Is it okay if I reach out to you if I sometimes have anxiety and in moments where I feel vulnerable and a little weak? That's actually very strong of them, and you would probably feel flattered. You would feel, wow, what an honor that they chose to open up to me and that they want to come to me when they are in need. So think about it that way, like how would you have reacted if you were giving? And this, of course, requires us all to be very open and honest and to also have boundaries. Because there might be times when you feel like when someone wants to receive from you and you actually don't have the energy to give. And in healthy relationships, you can trust that if this person says that it is okay and that they are there for me, they actually are there for me and they actually feel good about it. And if they don't feel good about it, they can set a boundary and it's not a big thing and I completely respect it. I don't take it personally. So that you are in this energy of openness and trust and being able to communicate your boundaries. That will make you feel so much more comfortable around receiving because you know that the giving from the other person is coming from a place of abundance and joy and not from feeling obliged to do so. And the reason I'm mentioning this is that your capability of receiving in life in general will affect your capability of receiving your manifestations. It's the same channel. So if you have a block, for example, around receiving compliments or receiving love, but you're trying to manifest a sum of money, it's probably not going to be easy for you. And you're probably going to reject it, even if subconsciously, because it is the same channel. So if you identify that, yes, this is me, I have problems receiving, the good news is there is always solutions, and that is why I am here. So what can you do if you feel like you have a hard time receiving and you want to open up to receive more? Because let's be honest, it's also a very good feeling to receive. So if you have watched the other days, you can probably guess that the first step is to look at your blocks around receiving. And by blocks, I specifically mean the core wounds, the deepest seated limiting beliefs that you hold, that often stem from childhood. And I would also say that there are 22 core wounds in total, and some of them are more relevant for other steps of the manifestation process that we have been working with before. But when it comes to receiving, the ones that are particularly relevant, that you may or may not recognize in yourself, is a feeling of I am unworthy. I will be trapped. Okay, I need to put this down. So I will be trapped. Why? How is this connected to receiving? So let's imagine that you receive, for example, a large sum of money or a beautiful, luxurious house. Then you may think that people will take advantage of you or try to take advantage of you, and you will feel like you're very selfish if you say no. So this can even be a subconscious process. Maybe someone comes to mind, like a family member or a friend that you feel is often crossing your boundaries or trying to push your boundaries, and is not really respectful. And then your subconscious may go, well, even if your conscious mind is like, oh, I really want to manifest this beautiful lakeside house, your subconscious may go like, no, it will just cause more problems for you. Because if you have that house, that person will constantly try to come and live there, and maybe you just don't feel like that, and that is okay. You don't have an obligation to give. But then you may feel like a bad person or selfish if you don't allow them to be there all the time. But the net effect in your subconscious is this is gonna cause more harm than good for you, so we're gonna block this from manifesting. I'm gonna block you from receiving this. So that was the I am trapped, that you will somehow lose your freedom. And especially if you are a person who have a big personality need around freedom, your subconscious may block you from receiving the very thing that you're manifesting. And the next core wound is feeling like I am bad, because many of us have very negative programming around money, for example. So you may feel like people with a lot of money are greedy, or they are bad people, they are selfish. And you don't want to be a bad person. So then you are subconsciously rejecting money. And the last one is I will be alone or abandoned. And that's an interesting one. What has that to do with receiving? So many people are bonding with others over negativity. So maybe you have a friend or a family member and you are constantly bonding over complaining that you don't have enough money, or it can also be about love. Maybe you are bonding with a friend. It doesn't have to be super negative either, I should say. But you're bonding over a certain thing that you don't have, over a lack of something. So maybe you have a friend that you're both bonding that you are single and that it's so hard to find a decent men or women or whatever. And your subconscious goes, well, if you actually find your dream partner, then you won't have this thing to bond on anymore. And you will lose the connection that you have with this friend. You will lose the love and connection, the safety, whatever the relationship with this person represents for you. So all those can be interesting things to look into. Maybe also journal, as I said in the other days. Think about them. Then the second exercise I have around receiving is action reprogramming. And I have something very beautiful for you. Your task is that every day for 21 days, receive a tiny thing or a big thing, but allow yourself to receive once a day. And I want you to really engage your imagination. I want you to receive something and enjoying receiving it. So for example, the warming, healing rays of the sun on your skin. Or if you get a compliment that you really say thank you. And even if a part of you still feels uncomfortable, just stop yourself before you try to deflect it or say something back instantly. Just allow yourself to soak it up. But allow yourself to receive a little every day. Because when you do this for 21 days and you pair it with positive emotions. Because remember, the subconscious is programmed through images. So situations, real life situations, are very imagery. They are very graphic because you are literally in the experience. Emotion, so that's why I want you to feel positive emotion as much as you can, and repetition, 21 days. So I promise you, if you do this tiny exercise every day for 21 days, it will feel so much easier for you to receive. And that really is one of the 6 keys to unlocking your full manifesting power and be a co-creator with the universe and effortlessly attract all the good things that you want into your life. Because remember that manifesting isn't a selfish thing. Manifesting is a symbol for you owning your power, your full power as a human being. And that is the state from which you can help others the most. So imagine if we were all fully empowered, how much better the world would look like. Because we would all have an abundance, an overflow of energy, of doing good in the world, of receiving ideas also. Because that's also a thing you can receive and that you also can note down in your little daily receiving journal, ideas that you receive. You will be so much more capable of creating the life that you really want, that your soul desires, and that also makes a positive difference in the world. So that concludes our 6-day manifestation series. Let me know in the comment your main takeaway from these 6 days, or if you have just watched this day, from this day, what is your main takeaway? And subscribe for more videos on manifestation, relationships, and personal development. Thank you so much for being with me. Remember that you are awesome. You are an infinite being having an earthly experience, and you can have, do, achieve, and create anything that you desire.